Welcome to today's information session on leading with emotional intelligence and coaching. My name is Jennifer Keller, and I am the Program Director for UC Davis Continuing and Professional Education Management and Leadership Programs. And I'm really happy to be here with you today. So I would love to, we're going to go ahead and get started, introduce our program team. So as I mentioned, I am here on the phone with you. I'm the Program Director for the Management and Leadership Programs, and I am joined by my colleague, Bridget. Bridget, do you want to introduce yourself? Bridget, you might be on mute. Well, we may be having some.
Okay.
Oh, there you are, Bridget. Hi, Bridget.
Hello, everyone. Sorry about that. My name is Bridget Saragoza. I'm the program manager, and I will help you along the way with your enrollments for this course. Really reaching out to you through email and working with our instructors as well as with students. So again, you see my email and my phone number there. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me directly, and I can try to help you with all your questions or concerns regarding this program.
Great, thank you, Bridget. And Bridget, if you get a chance, it looks like if you want to start my video cam, it says the host is able to do that. There we go. Thank you. Now you guys can see me. I'm here live on this beautiful sunny summer afternoon in July. So again, welcome, and now we'd like to hear a little bit of information about you. So we're going to do that via a poll, and our first poll that Bridget's going to launch is what organization, or what best describes the type of organization you are from? Is it private sector, public sector? Bridget, are you able to launch? There it comes. Okay, private sector, public sector, nonprofit, higher education, or other. What best describes your organization? We would love to hear who's on the phone or call or webcam, or whatever you want to call it. Are those answers coming in, Bridget?
Yes, a lot of public sector, a lot of other. Let me share this.
Okay. Okay, little bit of a mix, no nonprofits. So, all right, and then our second question for you is what best describes your role in your organization? We have a few options. Are you at a C-suite, senior manager, manager, supervisor, individual contributor, or other? What best describes your role in your organization? So take a second and click for us.
A lot of senior managers and directors and others.
Great.
Let me share this now with everyone.
Okay, thank you, Bridget. Great. So still a little bit of a mix. You are in the right place. So this course is really geared at all levels in an organization. This is what we call part of our specialized skill kind of deep dives into a topic. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started on our agenda. So our agenda for today is broken into 3 buckets. First, I want to tell you, why should you even take this course? Why is this important? Why do you care about this? Second, what can I expect to learn and who is the instructor? I'm so thrilled that we have Dawn Karner, our instructor for this course, on the information session today, and she is going to give you a preview of the content and what you can expect to learn. So I'm really happy that she's joined us today. And then finally, what if I still have questions? We're going to talk about a few of the logistics Bridget will go over, and then we will have an opportunity for you to ask any questions. I should say, please feel free to use the Q&A box at any time throughout this session to answer questions, as Bridget is actively monitoring that and will answer them in real time, or potentially save them for the end if she thinks that it's a question that many of you on the information session would have. So with that, let's get started on why should I take leading with emotional intelligence and coaching. So the importance of emotional intelligence. I love this kind of quote or statement from 6 Seconds, which is the emotional intelligence organization that Dawn is certified through. The evidence is increasingly compelling. The measurable, learnable skills of emotional intelligence make a significant impact on organizational performance. EQ may be essential to differentiating world-class organizations in an increasingly complex and competitive marketplace. And that comes from the business case for emotional intelligence from the organization 6 Seconds. Many of us may be familiar with the concept of emotional intelligence or have heard of it. And I've really noticed the trend in the last kind of year or two around emotional intelligence tied to business results. And so that, I think in the beginning there was maybe a little bit of a misnomer around, oh, it's about caring about feelings, which, being aware, and it is, and that is important as leaders, that we do care and are aware of our own feelings and reactions as well as those of others. But what I love about the new research that's coming out is it's really tying it to organizational performance and the impact that emotional intelligence and increase in those skills has on the effectiveness of an organization. And so this is a really important concept. And in this class, I'm thrilled that we have an emotional intelligence self-assessment that's through the organization 6 Seconds, which I mentioned that Dawn is certified through. And it's an opportunity for you to really assess yourself in these different areas of know yourself, choose yourself, and give yourself. And kind of produces this report that tells you where you fall in these areas. Are you at an expert level, or is this really a challenge or emerging for you in this area? And this course really then dives deep into these various components of the assessment. And it's a really great opportunity to reflect on your own emotional intelligence level and where you might have opportunities to improve, as well as where your strengths are in this area. So that's kind of the first portion of this course. It really provides the foundation of emotional intelligence. What is it? How does this relate to you as a leader? How can you become more aware of your own emotions as well as others? And also about stress and listening and things, empathy. So this is the real foundation of the course. And then there's a transition. Now that you have that foundation, taking a deep dive into emotional intelligence, then how do you use that to take a coach approach as a leader? And that's why this class is called Leading with Emotional Intelligence and Coaching. Once you have the foundation of emotional intelligence, how can you then use that to become more of a coach in your leadership style? This is a quote or a statement that just came from this newly released book. This book just came out, I believe it's only been a couple months now, from Gallup, called It's the Manager. And according to Clifton and Harder, the authors from Gallup, in their new book, they say employees want to be coached, not directed. When you coach rather than direct, this changes everything. And I was privileged to actually go out to Gallup on a course on employee engagement recently. And they talked a lot about this importance of managers as leaders and as coaches. And I think, there's been a lot of research out there in the past of how impactful leaders are on their teams and the team's engagement and productivity, and how oftentimes the number one reason someone leaves a job is because of their direct supervisor. And recently in this book, Gallup put an actual percentage, and they said 70% of employees' engagement has to do with their local, they call it locally, their manager and their team. And when Gallup talks about engagement, they're not just talking about satisfaction and employees being happy at their jobs. They're talking about productivity and how engagement ties to business objectives. So this isn't just fluffy kind of stuff that employees want. It's really also about when employees are coached and managers take this coach approach, organizations and teams are more productive. And there's a lot of research around that. So that's why this course is really important to leaders, and it's really cutting edge in how we're developing as leaders, how we're developing our teams, how we're developing as ourselves. So I'm thrilled that we have Dawn on today. So what can I expect to learn, and who is the instructor? I'm going to introduce Dawn and then turn it over to her. And so Bridget's going to go ahead and turn off my camera and turn Dawn on. And so Dawn Karner has been an instructor with us for many years now. And she owns her own consulting firm, and prior to owning her own consulting firm, she was a training director at Cache Creek Casino and worked with the executives on coaching. She's a certified coach through ICF, the International Coaching Federation, a PCC certified coach. She's also certified in emotional intelligence and conversational intelligence, as well as many other certifications. We often joke about the number of initials after Dawn's name. But Dawn is a phenomenal coach and instructor. She's also become a friend and a mentor to me, and so I'm really thankful that she is here today to just give you a preview of her course. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Dawn.
Well, thank you very much, Jennifer. I really appreciate it. Hello, everybody out there in Zoom land. I was really excited when Jennifer and Bridget reached out to me and said, would you like to be on this informational session? Because it's very rare that I get to have an audience with people before they get to a class that I'm facilitating. And so I appreciate your time today over the course of, the couple minutes we'll get to spend together. Jennifer asked me, what do you think would be the best way to spend the short amount of time we have? So I want to give you a little snippet of the type of content you'll experience in the Leading with Emotional Intelligence and Coaching. So I'd like to ask you just ever so briefly, have you ever been told something like, leave your feelings at the door, this is business? Because I have to tell you that I've been told that. And I know lots of other people have been told that. And maybe in a different way. Maybe they didn't say leave your feelings at the door. It's like, it's not important how you feel about this. This is business. But it's the same flavor. And I have yet to find an individual that can actually leave their feelings behind. We are a very integrated human being, and as such, our feelings are chemical reactions. They happen, and we don't get to choose how we feel, but we do get to choose what we do with how we feel. And so that's where emotional intelligence comes in. So I'd like to just ask you, how do you think it's actually possible to leave your feelings at the door? Because I know people who think the answer to that is yes. So what do you think? Do you think you can actually leave your feelings at the door? Or shove them aside to do your job? How's it showing up? Yeah, we've got a few people that haven't had an opportunity to click a button yet, but you're right. If you've ever tried to not feel whatever you feel and to just go along with things, there's a lot of stress that's created from it. There's a lot of discomfort. There's a lot of, let me go find a new place to spend my 40 plus hours a week. And that's really not a position that is fun to be in. I've been in that and really am not wishing that on anybody. And so just a snippet of how we go about bringing emotional intelligence to bear is to say, I'm going to give you all about a minute, give or take, and I'd like you to write down everything you're feeling at this moment. It could be sad, excited, hesitant, anticipative. Don't judge it. Just write down what comes to you. Whatever words that you can write down, about how you're feeling at this moment. And then I'm going to be quiet just for, a little bit of time, so it gives you some time to write those things down. And just so you know, I'm setting a stopwatch so I know how long I've left you. I feel like I should hum or something in the background, so it gives you enough time to get things put together, but you're not hearing me in your ear. So we're at about 50, 55 seconds. I think that's pretty close. So I'll stop my stopwatch and I'll ask you, how many feelings were you feeling at that one moment? 1 to 5, 6 to 10? Did you write down 11 or 15 things? Or more than 15?
Quite a few, 1 to 5, some 6 to 10.
Okay. Okay. Here's the interesting piece about this. So can we see the actual poll results, Bridget?
There you go.
Okay. So interestingly enough, 6 to 10 isn't a whole lot of feelings, but think about it. In one singular moment, you experienced even 1 to 5 how you feel is pretty significant. Now you do 6 to 10. We do this activity, but I give you a list so you don't have to come up with all these things on your own in the course content. And it is surprising how many feelings we have, chemical reactions that we associate with a feeling that we have in any given moment. And all that is happening sort of in the background, sometimes not in the background when people are passionate about things, but it happens nonetheless. And so it's interesting to know that these are chemical reactions, your body has them, and you assign a name, you assign a meaning to them. And from that meaning, you either react or you respond. And so when you have a high level of emotional intelligence, you have more of an opportunity to respond to an emotion you feel versus react. And when you respond, there's a choice. I feel excited. I feel disappointed. I feel kind of blasé. So what do I do with that? And so we look at and we dive into, it's okay to have whatever you feel, but how do we use those feelings and leverage those feelings to be the best person we can be for ourselves and for the folks that we lead? And that's really one of the main cornerstones of learning about where are you, taking that SEI assessment, is to determine where am I in this moment and how can I get better at it? And we talk about what we can do to get better, to learn more, to be able to be at more response and choice points versus reaction and, oh, geez, I wish I hadn't have said that, or I wish I hadn't have done that. And when you think about leaders and leaders that you follow and that you have a high degree of respect for and a high degree of trust with, they're leaders that aren't non-emotional. They have emotions. They're human, but they use them in a way that helps you connect with them and move with them and follow them, as opposed to walking on eggshells because I don't know what to expect from this person today. And so when we think about emotional intelligence, there's a lot of things we think of. We think of, it's our ability to be compassionate. In this world, in this day and age, compassion is surprisingly down. Empathy is surprisingly down. There are hundreds of thousands of these SEI assessments that we have worldwide that 6 Seconds keeps in a database. And over the last 4 years, people's ability to have empathy is measuring lower. And we see it in how we have less tolerance for people who aren't like us. We see it in a lot of things. But increasingly, it's important to be able to know and be compassionate. Emotional intelligence helps us to connect to other people. You look for people that you can connect with on a human level. There's a lot of neuroscience base to the content that I teach, and human beings were meant to connect with other human beings. And how do we do that? It's through our humanity, through our compassion, through our emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is really self-knowledge. It's created through awareness and a level of maturity. 6 Seconds started out as an organization that really was a private school that did social emotional learning. And when Daniel Goleman wrote the book, Emotional Intelligence, back in the 1990s, he used them as an example of what emotional intelligence could do. And thus the company 6 Seconds to go out into the world, into organizations, was built. And so it's all sort of connected. Emotional intelligence, really, it comes down to creating leaders you want to follow. There's lots of research out there, and I'll give information on that research out during the course section. But interestingly, you have people that they're at the top of their game. They're CEOs, they're chief operating officers. And these folks have been evaluated. And the ones that people really follow and really connect with aren't just the brightest people in the organization. Yes, they're very intelligent. But that combination of a high level of IQ married with a high level of EQ or emotional intelligence is almost unstoppable. And so I'm thrilled that Jennifer came to me a few years ago and said, what do you think about? And we developed this course, because I think that these two aspects, emotional intelligence and coaching, really are like a 1-2 punch. And I'm so happy to be able to bring that to you through the UC Davis Continuing and Professional Education Group.
Thank you, Dawn.
Thank you.
I really am so grateful that we were able to do this together a few years ago, as you mentioned, and develop this, and that you're a part of this. I want to pause before we kind of move to some of the logistics and just ask if you have any questions for Dawn about anything that she just talked about, or anything related to the content of the course. Please go ahead and use the Q&A box. And I'm sure she would love to answer anything. So I'm just going to kind of pause for a minute. And something I will say, something that Dawn mentioned that I do think is really important in this content is that she does base it on the research. Like she said, she gives you the research, she provides it. As I kind of mentioned, this isn't just kind of fluffy stuff. There's real value and real research around how this creates effective organizations and drives performance. So I love that she really incorporates the research and the neuroscience and other things in this concept as well. Bridget, have any questions come in for Dawn?
No questions yet.
Okay, well, there's still an opportunity for those of you who may be like me and process information. It takes a little while, so we're going to go ahead and move on and talk about a few of the logistics, and Bridget's going to review those. So Bridget, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, so with this program, you are going to get 3 full days, which are on Tuesdays, starting August 13th through the 27th. The program is from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. The tuition is $17.95 total. However, if you enroll with 3 or more people, there is a 10% discount. And for joining us today, this info session, you will get $100 off for attending, and I will also be sending that through an email, the code you can use when you enroll. Also, there is 10% off for early enrollment. So if you enroll by the end of this month, July 30th, you get a 10% off as well. And again, there is limited space, so I would encourage you to enroll as soon as possible.
Great, thank you, Bridget, for those logistics. And the final logistic is kind of also an announcement that we're excited about. So, Bridget?
We have our new location as of this week. We are now located at One Capitol Mall. All of our classrooms are there. Downtown Sacramento, which is next to the Tower Bridge and Old Sacramento. So in that nice, wonderful picture there, we are located on the 2nd floor with $1 million views. So hope to have you guys join us in our new location.
Yes, we're very excited. If those of you on the Zoom have taken classes with us before at the Galleria, this is quite an upgrade for us and really excited. I think it goes with our new branding of continuing in professional education, and we just couldn't be more thrilled about this new location. So come check us out. So I think that really covers everything that we wanted to share with you today. So if you have any questions, please use the Q&A or the chat box. Either one, I think Bridget can monitor. And we'll stay on for another minute to see if there's any questions. Otherwise, you are free to sign off, and we hope to see your name on our class list.
Thank you, everyone.
Questions come in?
No questions yet, but again, my email and phone number was located on the first slide. If you can't think of a question now, you can always reach out to me anytime after this, and I'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions.
Great. Okay.
Thank you all for joining us.
I think we are good to end, Bridget.
Okay.
Thank you.